She was gone. No note, no trace, no sound, just silence, and a pair of wet sandals left outside the bungalow door. 10 days into their honeymoon, Savannah Mercer vanished from a beachfront resort in Saint Lucia. Her husband, Jeremy, claimed she went out for a swim. At 3:12 a.m., no witnesses, no security footage, just the sound of waves, and a man too calm for a newlywed in crisis. The investigation began with whispers, staff mentioning tension between the couple. A housekeeper recalled Savannah crying in the outdoor shower. Another said she saw Jeremy burn a stack of postcards meant for Savannah's family. He told police she was struggling with anxiety, that she'd been drinking, that maybe she ran into the sea herself. But nothing about this disappearance made sense. Savannah's phone was found in a linen closet, wrapped in plastic, hidden behind bleach bottles. When police reviewed their check-in footage, only Savannah looked happy. Jeremy kept glancing at the camera, like he already knew where it was. Days later, blood traces were discovered on the inner rim of their rented kayak. Jeremy said it was a cut on his leg. No record of that injury exists. The couple had met just 10 months prior. Quick romance, quick wedding. But Savannah's best friend revealed a disturbing email, sent 1 week before the trip. Savannah wrote, "I don't think I know him. Sometimes I catch him watching me sleep. He's kind but off, like he's pretending to be normal." Jeremy denied any abuse. He passed a polygraph, but something felt wrong. Savannah's mother flew down, demanding answers. She noticed Savannah's journal was missing. All her personal items were intact, except that, gone. Then came the twist. 3 weeks after Savannah vanished, a fisherman on the island's north shore made a grisly discovery. A hand, just a hand, tattooed with coordinates. One Savannah had gotten to mark her first solo backpacking trip. DNA confirmed it, but the autopsy revealed something chilling. The hand had been cleanly severed. Post-mortem, surgical precision. No marine animal could have done that. Jeremy was arrested on suspicion of murder. But days before his hearing, the case took another turn. A woman in Belize contacted authorities. She'd seen Jeremy on a ferry with another woman. The date, 2 days before Savannah was declared missing. Police examined flight records. Jeremy had made a solo trip 3 months prior. Same region, same ferry line. The woman he was spotted with? A travel blogger named Clara Diaz. She had disappeared 6 months earlier. Last seen filming a video titled, "Island Life with My New Love." Jeremy had used aliases, free passports, 6 burner phones, and yet there was still no body. Savannah's father hired a private investigator. They found a hidden locker in Miami, registered under Jeremy's birth name, Jonathan Reese. Inside were dozens of photos. Women, smiling, unaware. One of them was Savannah, weeks before their wedding. The others were never identified. Jeremy refused to speak during trial prep. No confession, no cooperation, just a faint smile, like he was still in control. But the evidence grew. Forensics revealed Savannah had been drugged. A rare sedative, hard to trace, easy to slip into champagne. Her sandals, the ones outside the door, had traces of blood beneath the sole, as if someone carried her, dropped her, then placed them neatly as part of the scene. Still, the prosecution lacked a full body. The defense played it smart. No body, no murder, they argued. Just a tragedy at sea. But the jury didn't buy it. Jeremy was found guilty of second-degree murder. Sentenced to life. No parole. No emotion. He blinked once, then looked directly into the camera. And then, something no one saw coming. 6 weeks after the trial, a letter arrived at Savannah's parents' home. Postmarked from Trinidad. No return address. Just 7 words. "I'm alive." Don't believe what he said. The writing matched Savannah's. Down to the slant of this. Was it a cruel hoax? A final twist from Jeremy? Or had Savannah done the impossible? Escaped her fate? Her mother stared at the letter for hours. Held it against her chest. Rocked silently in the chair Savannah used to sit in. DNA swabs from the envelope proved inconclusive. Police reopened the case. And now, Jeremy's smirk suddenly made sense. If Savannah was alive, who had died? And if she'd fake her death, why? This was never just a honeymoon. It was an audition for something much darker. And as for the letter, it wasn't the only one. 2 more arrived, each from a different island, each with a piece of jewelry Savannah was known to wear. The case is no longer closed. In fact, it may have just begun. The letter had arrived like a thunderclap, a silent storm crashing into Evelyn Mercer's life. As she clutched it in her hands, her mind raced through the possibilities. Could Savannah be alive? The faint flicker of hope quickly died beneath the crushing weight of doubt. The writing, the slant of the S, it was unmistakable. But was this the work of a cruel hoax? Or had Savannah truly managed to escape the horrors that had once been her life? Evelyn didn't sleep that night. The letter, postmarked from Trinidad, lay in her lap, its words echoing over and over. I'm alive. Don't believe what he said. The message haunted her, but so did the question that now gnawed at her. Why had Savannah disappeared in the first place? She couldn't shake the thought that the young woman who had vanished from the island weeks earlier was not the same person who had walked into that honeymoon resort with Jeremy. Her daughter had been calm, too calm. She had been trapped in a world of contradictions, desperately trying to maintain the facade of a perfect marriage, while quietly unraveling behind closed doors. The evidence, the blood on the kayak, the missing journal, the shattered family, none of it had added up. And now, the letter was a dangerous new variable in the equation. Evelyn could no longer trust the police's conclusions. She couldn't trust Jeremy. She couldn't even trust herself to know what was real anymore. The next morning, Evelyn made the difficult decision to take matters into her own hands. She reached out to the private investigator her husband had hired during the trial, hoping for a new perspective. His name was Victor Cruz, experienced, sharp, and capable of seeing connections where others might miss them. Cruz had been quiet since the trial ended, but Evelyn was running out of options. Together, they re-examined the events surrounding Savannah's disappearance. They looked at surveillance footage again. This time, they focused on the moments before Savannah went missing. What stood out now, in the harsh light of the new evidence, were the subtle shifts in Jeremy's behavior. His eyes flickered nervously, glancing at the camera far too often, like he knew the lens was there but didn't care. Cruz found something strange in the footage. At the moment Savannah went missing, the timestamp was crucial. It wasn't 3:12 a.m. as originally believed. It was earlier, just before 2 a.m. Jeremy's timeline didn't add up, but there was more. Cruz also uncovered a pattern in Jeremy's travel history. A string of past relationships. Women who, like Savannah, had vanished in unsettling circumstances. None of them had ever been found. And yet, none of them were connected. At least not publicly. Was there a pattern to Jeremy's life? A deeper web of lies that even the authorities hadn't pieced together? As Cruz delved deeper, he discovered a hidden locker in a storage unit in Miami, registered under Jeremy's birth name, Jonathan Reese. Inside the locker, there were photos. Dozens of them. Smiling women. Some familiar, some strangers. The women in these photos weren't just in vacation spots. They were captured in private moments. A moment in a cafe. Another in a park. One on a secluded beach. All of them unaware of the man who had been watching them. Among these photos, there was one that sent chills down Cruz's spine. It was an image of Savannah, taken weeks before their wedding. The realization struck him like a punch to the gut. Jeremy had been planning something far darker, for much longer than anyone had realized. But there was one photo that stopped him dead in his tracks. It was a woman, standing alone, staring into the ocean. No smile, no joy, just emptiness. The caption beneath the photo read, "The one who got away." Who was this woman? And why had Jeremy kept her photo? Cruz began connecting the dots. The other women had been in the same places as Savannah, on islands, in remote areas. And they all shared one thing in common. They had vanished, just like Savannah. Was Savannah's disappearance part of a larger plan? Had she been the last in a series of carefully orchestrated disappearances? Days later, the breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A local fisherman who had been out on a boat the night Savannah vanished came forward. He had been in the area at the time, but had not spoken to the authorities until now. He had seen something, someone, on the beach. He described a woman, her figure silhouetted against the moonlit sky. But it wasn't Savannah. It was someone else, someone who had been with her before the disappearance. The fisherman described the woman's voice, the way she had spoken in a hushed tone to a man standing by the water, Jeremy. Had Savannah known this woman? Was this woman somehow tied to the string of disappearances? Evelyn listened to the fisherman's account in silence. The pieces were slowly beginning to come together, but the more she learned, the more questions arose. What was Savannah's connection to this mysterious woman? And why had Jeremy been so fixated on her? Then came the final blow. A local woman came forward with a tip. She had seen Jeremy with someone on the night Savannah was reported missing. It wasn't Savannah. It was the woman from the photo, the one Jeremy had kept hidden, the one who had gotten away. As Evelyn and Cruz followed the trail of lies, it became clear that Jeremy's life had been a series of calculated moves, each one building to the next. And now, the truth seemed more elusive than ever. Savannah had known more than she had ever let on. She had been playing her own game, one that had been far darker than anyone could have imagined. And the chilling part was this. She had left clues all along the way. The letters, the jewelry, the strange behavior. They weren't signs of a victim. They were signs of someone who had been planning an escape from a nightmare. But had she escaped? Or had she simply traded one nightmare for another? Evelyn's mind raced. Every step forward seemed to lead to another dead end. The mystery of Savannah's disappearance was more complex than anyone could have imagined. And it was far from over. Just as Evelyn was beginning to piece together the final threads of the story, another letter arrived. This one, however, was different. It was postmarked from Belize. Inside was a new photograph, a blurry image of a woman standing on a cliff, overlooking the sea. But it was the words on the back of the photo that sent a chill down Evelyn's spine. "I'm closer than you think." Evelyn's hands trembled as she held the photo, the weight of its implications sinking in. If Savannah was alive, then the true story was still waiting to be uncovered. And the real question lingered in the dark. Who was chasing whom? The sun dipped below the horizon as Evelyn stared at the most recent photo on her phone. The image of Savannah's tattooed arm, partially obscured in the dim light of some unknown room, lingered before her eyes like a cruel reminder that her daughter was somewhere out there. And yet, she couldn't reach her. "She's closer than you think, Evelyn. But so is he." The words echoed in her mind, over and over again, as if the letter had come alive, taunting her. The man, the one who had been watching her in Savannah, had once again manipulated the game. Evelyn didn't know who he was anymore. He was too much of a ghost, fading in and out of her life, each appearance more chilling than the last. She had come to Belize for answers, but every corner she turned only led to more questions. Who was sending these letters? Was it really Savannah, or was someone else playing her part? And why was there still no sign of her? Victor Cruz had disappeared the moment they returned to their hotel, leaving only a terse note. "I'm on it. Don't trust anyone here." He hadn't said much else, and Evelyn didn't know whether she could trust him anymore. She couldn't trust anyone. The only thing she knew for certain was that the past was haunting her, twisting into something far darker than she had ever imagined. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a picture. It was a message. "Meet me at the marina. 10 p.m. Come alone." It wasn't signed. No indication of who had sent it. But Evelyn knew, deep down, that it was the final step in the twisted journey she had been thrust into. The marina was nearly empty when Evelyn arrived, the only sound the gentle lapping of the waves against the docks. The moon cast long shadows over the boats, and the air was thick with salt. She had no idea what she was walking into, but she couldn't turn back now. She needed to know what happened to Savannah, to unravel this mystery once and for all. At 10 p.m. sharp, a figure appeared in the distance, slowly walking toward her. It was a man, tall, with broad shoulders and a slow, deliberate gait. As he drew closer, Evelyn's stomach dropped. She knew him instantly. It was Jeremy, but he didn't look like the man she remembered. The man she had once thought was her daughter's murderer. His face was pale, worn, as if the last few months had aged him far beyond his years. His eyes were hollow, and his movements were stiff, as though he had been through something far worse than imprisonment. "I knew you'd come," Jeremy said, his voice strained. There was no anger, no defiance, just weariness. Evelyn couldn't find her voice at first. She had so many questions, so many things she wanted to scream at him, but she remained silent. Her heart ached with confusion. Was he the one who had been sending the letters? "Where is she?" Evelyn finally asked, her voice hoarse. Jeremy's eyes flickered, and for a moment, he looked like a man on the edge of breaking. "She's gone, Evelyn. But she's not who you think she is." The words hit her like a cold wave. "What do you mean?" she asked, her breath quickening. He stepped closer, his gaze never leaving hers. I didn't kill her. I never wanted to hurt her. But I couldn't protect her anymore. It's too late. Evelyn felt a chill creep up her spine. What do you mean? What's too late? Jeremy looked away, as if struggling to find the right words. It was never about us. It was about something bigger. Savannah, she's involved in something I didn't understand. Something I couldn't protect her from. The truth was unraveling, but it wasn't anything Evelyn could have ever predicted. What are you talking about? Where is she? Jeremy's voice dropped to a whisper. Savannah isn't dead. Not in the way you think. She's alive, Evelyn. But she's not the same person anymore. She was never the same. Evelyn's mind raced. Alive? Savannah was alive? But there was no time for that. A sound interrupted their conversation. A soft click of a door opening behind them. A man stepped out of the shadows, and Evelyn froze. It was the same man who had been watching them in the shack. The man who had been sending the letters. Jeremy's face went pale. You shouldn't have come here, he muttered. The man smirked, his eyes dark with something unreadable. It's too late for any of us, Jeremy. Too late for all of us. Evelyn could barely comprehend what was happening. She had followed the breadcrumbs to this moment, but the truth was far more terrifying than she had ever imagined. The letters, the photos, the cryptic messages, they were all part of a bigger plan, one that neither Savannah nor Jeremy had ever understood. Who are you? Evelyn demanded. The man's smirk grew wider. We don't have names anymore. Not really. I'm just a piece of the puzzle, Evelyn. The one you've been chasing all this time. Evelyn's heart raced as the man stepped closer. What happened to Savannah? The man's eyes gleamed with cold amusement. Savannah is still out there, but she's not who you think she is. She's been changed, reprogrammed. And you, Evelyn, you were always part of the plan. You just didn't know it. Before she could react, the man turned and walked toward the boat docked nearby. If you want the truth, you'll have to follow. But be warned, it won't be what you expect. With that, he disappeared into the night, leaving Evelyn standing there, alone with Jeremy. The silence that followed was suffocating. Evelyn's legs felt weak, but she didn't have time to doubt herself. She had to know. She had to find Savannah. I've been trying to protect her, Jeremy whispered, his voice trembling. But she was already lost. I couldn't stop it. None of us could. Evelyn's eyes locked onto his. Tell me everything. Now. Jeremy took a deep breath, his hands shaking. She wasn't just running away from me. She was running from something, someone. The truth had finally surfaced. The pieces of the puzzle, Savannah's strange behavior, the letters, the man on the boat, were all connected by a web far darker than Evelyn could ever have imagined. Evelyn's mind raced as she watched Jeremy. She realized, too late, that there was no one to trust anymore. No clear path to follow. The truth she had been chasing had led her into a labyrinth, and now there was no way out. As she turned to follow the man on the boat, she heard a soft sound behind her. Footsteps. They were coming closer, fast. It wasn't Jeremy. It wasn't the man. It was someone else. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat as the figure emerged from the shadows. She had seen that face before, and the realization hit her like a punch to the gut. It was Savannah, but it wasn't her daughter anymore. It was something else. The figure smiled, cold and emotionless. You should have let me go, Mom. The world went black.
If you found this story intriguing, be sure to subscribe to Cloaked in Crime for more true crime investigations. Leave your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a story.